businessman, businesswoman decision, right? I'm making a product. Someone gave me a check for $430 million. Go spend it. I started building a factory in Griffin, Georgia, started buying tooling. You know, I had 130 engineers designing it for me, everything there. And we said, we're going to sell it into a market. The market was a very specific market, marine pleasure craft. So these big, fancy boats, they sell for about $200–300 million a piece. There just wasn't enough of them. There's not enough rich people. It was a funny situation. Not enough rich people to buy my engine. Each engine was $650,000. Yeah. So after I joined the project had already been going for a few years. I looked at the numbers, and the business decision was, kill it. And that took 1 year to convince the senior leaders that we've already spent $100 million. If you don't want to lose $200 million more, stop it. Write off $100 million. And we wrote up $140 million. So that was career 4. Career 5 was I had done everything theoretically and had other people do it, but I never actually touched anything metal, anything real. So I went over to run a division out of Mossville, not too far from here, Tech Center it's called, that I ran this building that has about 500 people in it. And we have these massive facilities. This is an example of a shake table. You can put an entire machine on it, and it shakes it. Like an airplane simulator, if you've ever seen that, anything like that. But basically, it runs 24/7, really, really aggressive, and you're basically seeing, can you break it? So this was the physical test. So I had the shake table in Mossville, and then you'll almost never see it, but if you cross the river in Washington, there's a place that's very hidden. Caterpillar owns about 2,500 acres. We have about 300 machines that day and night we're running around and running them over bumps and hitting the brakes hard and running them in the winter, you know, when the temperature is really, really cold. We're excited. Yeah, let's go test the machine. So I had about 175 people in Peoria, Tucson, Arizona, Peterborough, England, Wuxi, China, and that was about it. Yep. To basically run and break machines and engines. So I did that about 5 years. That was kind of fun to do. The good thing was, since I ran the facility, at like 4 or 5 o'clock, everybody leaves. I would just grab a truck, grab the keys, and go drive around a tractor. You know, and nobody could say anything, except the deer. They'd be there. So that was career 5. Career 6, I went over to Morton Caterpillar. So Morton Caterpillar is about parts. Interesting thing is Caterpillar makes more money on selling parts than on selling machines and engines. Quite a bit more. We are not actually allowed to say how much more money we make, but we make a lot of money on selling parts. And the simple thing is, unlike your car is designed not to break. You know, your car, you drive around, especially a new car, 5 years you hope you don't break a thing. You know, 10 years you might start, you know, you might change the tires, you know, you'll have to do that. You know, you might have to change the air filter, the oil filter. But modern cars, if you have to change the transmission, you probably kept the car too long. You should give it to somebody else, you know. Our machines, though, they break rocks. They build roads, you know. So they're designed to break things, they break. And every time they break, it's a part we sell. So we will sell everything from the bolt to the oil filter to the blade to the tip of the blade. We make a lot of money on the tips of the blades. There's parts we sell that are really old. So there's one part that I've been tracking since I got this job. The part is a pin. It's like a metal pin that just holds together 2 links, a clevis pin it's called. It was first sold by Caterpillar in 1937, April 1st, the day of my father's birth. So that's why I tracked that part. It's 86 years old. It makes, last year it made $1,025 profit. Not much, but it's 86 years old, so, you know, give it a break. You know, but it's an 86-year-old part we still sell. Caterpillar used to sell about 830,000 different part numbers. So my job, when I went there, I knew absolutely nothing about parts, nothing about engineering, but my job was to say, we're selling 830,000 parts. We make a lot of money, as I said, I can go into the details, but we make a lot of money on actually just 50,000 of them. So out of 830, there's just some that make 80+% of our profit, actually more, 90+%. There's actually a few we make a little bit of money on, but 500,000 parts we lose money on. This is a business, right? So why am I selling something you lose money on? And so my job was to basically convince our dealers, our company, that let's stop selling these parts. And you could, most of those parts, you could go on Amazon, or eBay actually is usually the best place, and you can find them. And they sell for 1/4 of our price. So why are we selling it at a loss? Yeah. It's the same reason why Apple does not try to sell screens. They'll sell a service plan, but Apple will say instead, everybody buy my new phone every 2 years. They'll push that. Okay? Our big products, our things, it's harder to say. You're not going to push them every 2 years, buy a new machine. But the time is decreasing. We used to have people, just even around here, bought tractors they kept for 30, 40 years. And we sold them a lot of parts along the way. But now the next generation says, hey, the new tractor comes with a really comfortable chair. The seat is very important. The new tractor comes with built-in GPS, and the newest tractor, I just program it in and I go have coffee, that thing just runs back and forth and plows the ground. Actually, compactors, we have those, they will compact a road, press a button, they'll go up and down the road for 5 miles each. It takes about 8 hours to do, and there's not a person sitting in it. Just compact the road. It's the one with the drum on it. So that's the new stuff. So basically, my job was to say, stop selling parts, we're losing money, and sell machines more. So that was that. And then since October 1st, I went to a new group. I wanted some new learning, and I walked in and I knew absolutely nothing. I'm now buying parts. So my job is, instead of selling it, I'm buying it. And I travel quite a few countries and things, and I go to these very hot, sticky foundries where they melt metal and build a block for an engine or a big casting or a frame or something else. So I'm responsible for just about $1 billion of spend a year. And it's interesting, but it's very, very high pressure because right now we just don't have enough to do. And so I don't know what the lesson there is yet. I'll know in a few months. The point being is that in 28 years, what a mechanical engineer is not what you'll study in the books. Your experiences will change. So that was me. Some advice. When you choose your career and major, choose wisely. Okay? What I did, nobody ever should do. Okay? I grew up in Hong Kong, I mentioned, and my father was a banker, so everybody I knew in the community was a banker. So I didn't want to be a banker because my father was a banker. Okay? I was good in physics and math, so everybody said, oh, physics and math, must be engineer. Okay, must be engineer. So then I would ask, I actually didn't ask back then, I looked in a book, what was the hardest engineering you could do? Aerospace engineer. So I became an aerospace engineer. Okay? That's the stupidest way to ever do that. So I was 14, 15 at the time. So, and I didn't attend a lecture. Maybe that was it. So I encourage you all, there's a lot of facilities available to you here. Okay? Use them. Right? There's ACT prep courses. Those are really, really good. College tours. When you get to that point, you've down selected to your top 5, you must go visit a college. Visiting a college can change your perspective about it. There's small things that you will notice that you will never notice without visiting it. So my son, who's now in medical school, he had limited down to 2 colleges that he wanted to go to. He was interested in it. One was Iowa State, because I had gone there and it was free. They had given him a full scholarship. The other one was Urbana-Champaign, where his sister was going to, which was much, much more expensive. Okay? We went and visited those colleges, and within 10 minutes, I told him he should not go to Iowa State. Because when we compared Champaign to Iowa State, my son Imad, he's active in the masjid community before. For him, a priority was having some connection to religion, to having some connection to the masjid. Iowa State is 99.9999% white. We went to the masjid. Everybody in the masjid is 35 years old. They're like PhD students from Saudi Arabia who are coming to do an agronomy degree there. There was no community. University of Illinois has the first MSA made in America. It's 150 years old. He was in the MSA. His older sister, was the vice president of MSA, and he found his wife, and they're married now, from the MSA. So you must go to college. There's a lot of counselors. They can give you a lot of advice there. One of the simplest things that I don't think kids do enough is when they choose a major, typically when you do it, you can look at almost any website. You could just choose. If you decided to just compare between, let's say, mechanical engineering, accounting, biology, okay? 3 completely different ones. Go to Bradley's website and say, what does it take? What are the courses that it takes to do a Bradley mechanical engineering degree, accounting degree, etc. And just read the descriptions of some of the courses, because that's what you'll be doing for the next 4 years. Just take a look at those courses, because I'll give an example. A lot of young people nowadays, a lot of social interests, everything, will look at marketing. Go, marketing is awesome. I should study marketing. If you go and look at the courses in marketing, there's a lot of statistics to take. There's a lot of math to take. There's a lot of creative stuff too. But it'd be interesting for you to think personally, if I'm interested in marketing, is it like 10% art and drawing and creative and 80% business management and math and everything else, or the vice versa? The assumption is marketing is what they show on the TVs and movies, that you're making a pitch and you come up with the latest soup campaign or whatever you're doing, I don't know. So I can tell you what it is for engineering, and it's different. So look at that, okay? Pick a bachelor's degree that is employable. This is me being a desi parent, okay? I'll tell you, this is complete bias. My kids give me a very hard time about it. I tell them all the time, I want you, if you're gonna spend 4 years and $100,000 to get a degree, make sure it's employable. Don't pick, now I don't want to offend anybody, but don't pick a degree that is not gonna be useful, because you may have an advanced degree planned, okay? Alhamdulillah, my older daughter just finished her bar exam, so she's a lawyer, and my son's in med school. They're counting on their advanced degrees, but they did employable undergrad degrees, because you don't know what will happen in life. You might have, I know too many people who have a parent who something happened, and financial issues or health issues or something. Don't count on your advanced degree to be employable. And then, once you kind of down select and say, these are my 3 areas of interest, talk to people, ask for advice, job shadow. There's many a desi, or I'll say from our community, who is pushed by their parents or culture or whatever, become a doctor. Okay? There's a lot of job shadow opportunities. And if you realize you don't like talking to people and caring about the patient and doing everything else, even if you love biology, you should not be a doctor, because you won't get into med school. You just won't. Okay. All this, up to you guys. Okay. The main, to me, and I don't think as a community, as an educational system, we emphasize it enough. In America, middle school down is extremely different than high school up. Middle school down, the teacher is on you. You didn't turn in your homework. Making you turn in your homework. If you don't, you're going to get a 0. Okay? The day you become a freshman, they should tell you, but they don't. The high school teacher says, you're almost an adult. I'm not going to follow you. I'll tell you the first day in class, they'll have all long list of scoring and their rubric and blah, 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 and all the rules. But basically what they don't tell you is they will not follow up on you. If you get a C, not my problem. They're not that callous, but it's not their problem. They have too many students. I mean, Dunlap High School is what, 1,400 students, something like that, you know? So they're not going to worry about it too much. Some teachers will be nicer than others, but most will expect you to take ownership. Similarly, for your career, don't count on your parents. They will give you advice. Don't count on your siblings. They're busy. Don't count on your friends. They're here for today. Tomorrow they won't. They'll move on, you know? There's a lot of heavy lifting to do, you know? You do it. You have to do it. And then, of course, I would say timing-wise, you know, freshman year, you're just trying to get used to being in high school, which is a very, very challenging situation. Sophomore and junior year is the perfect time to work on this. You want to spend as much time as possible to do it. Because that's the time it's kind of a sweet spot. Everything's arranged for it. You know, there will be friends who are taking ACT at the same time. So if you plan, okay, I'm going to do my ACT in March of 2024. I should take the prep course 6 months before, not 9 months before, because then I'll forget, you know. I'll just right enough, you know. Maybe right after Christmas break, you have a time you can quickly take the exam, hopefully get as good a score as possible. Don't count on doing it 3 times, you know. Do it once. But use that time, and then senior year, relax. Well, you'll have other things busy, but at least you've down-selected down to that point. I do encourage anybody, obviously, to consider engineering. It's an awesome profession, you know. I mean, engineers build and power the world. Everybody I work with at Caterpillar that's a senior level manager, the executives, they're almost all engineers, just because of the way it makes you think, you know. They basically, as I said, drive the world. But of course, there are also lesser but honorable professions. Law is pretty good. You know, medicine, human repair, you know, it's pretty good. Don't create anything. Actually, journalism, architecture are much more creative. Teaching, these are really, really good professions, you know, to consider, but engineer is the best. And I mean, and one thing I will just say, if you're female, okay, you like physics and you like math, okay, you should look at engineering a lot, okay? Because, you know, I give an example. I've hired hundreds of people, hundreds. And so I've got a job posting right now, but it's open in the UK. I'm hiring a person. I'm right now required that, just because of the way big companies work, one of my candidates must be female, one of the interview panel must be female. Okay? If you're a female engineer, you are recession-proof. Even if there's a huge recession, you know, and you're capable, obviously you have to be capable, you know, you can get a job any day, guaranteed. In Caterpillar, I could get you one. Okay, just pivot to a bit of life advice, okay? The only uncertainty in life is nothing will go per plan, never. Okay? Everybody makes the grandiose plans, you know, they will get married at this time, they will build a house at this time, they will do this, they will do that, you know, and it never works out, okay? So you make the plan, you have a plan. I want to go to Northwestern University for med school, okay? I want to do that. You strive towards it, but be prepared to adapt, because whatever's written for you will happen, right? Your qadr. Be persistent, but don't be afraid of change, and know that if you reflect on your parents, because everybody should, you will not be at all like your parents. You already know that, but career, job-wise, you will never be like that. So I worked in the same company for 28 years so far. Inshallah, I'll be working there for another 10 years. So by the time I retire, I'm close to 40 years in one company. Okay? Nobody is going to do that anymore. You know, the next generation, they will change jobs and probably cities. I mean, I've been here since 1994, you know, but pretty much the next generation will change cities every 5 to 7 years. It's just the way the world is. It's very mobile, you know. Things keep changing. Okay? And then be very passionate and proud of what you do. Okay? Don't aim for money. Money will come, money will go. You know, do it just with excellence, and then focus on making a difference. You know, you want a job that you're proud of. Don't sell cigarettes. That's the worst thing to do. Just a few more things. Okay, so this is maybe one of my own personal passions. Time is very limited. You know, you're, inshallah, enjoying your summer breaks, you know, and you might have done the math at the beginning saying it's 10 weeks long or something like that, okay? You're already 2 weeks in, aren't you? I think so, at least 1 week. Is that right? 2? Yeah? Sir? Yeah, so it flies up by fast, you know? That first week and a half was like this. You said I was going to get up and I was going to run 5 miles every morning, or I was going to go and read this book. And if you haven't started yet, you're 1.5 weeks in. Time is limited. Time will go by. Everything else is recoverable. You know, there's actually a saying that I use in the work is, if the problem I have at work, I'm trying to fix a problem. A factory I shut down in Seguin, Texas. How do I fix it? If it's a money issue, if it's a money problem, it's not a problem. Money I can find. I cannot make up time. Time lost is gone. So health, everything is recoverable to a large degree, but time once gone is gone. So act with a sense of urgency. If you have that summer plan, you know, start on it, but have fun. Don't work all the time. And then the last things I will just say is, be very generous with your money and your time. Time is actually more valuable than money. You know, as you get older, you get into college. Okay? Inshallah, you're all in college, and you start your freshman year, and you'll say, I got to study hard, I got to do this. Okay? Find some time to have fun, but then do something for others. You know, the MSA, the tree hugging club, whatever it is, do something beneficial for others. You know, there. And then finally, be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all that you have, the life, liberty, health, safety, security that you have, and your parents, because they work really hard to give it to you. So that's all I had. Questions? Yes, sir.
So I have a question. I am a physician.
Yes.
I am here with my nieces.
Yeah.
About the employable undergrad programs that
Yes.
you're torturing
Yes.
in your kibbutz. Can you elaborate that?
So, like in physician, a lot of people do a bachelor's in chemistry or bachelor's in biology. Okay, the challenge there is that if you are going into being a physician because your uncle forced you to, or said it's really good, and you're not really into it, by the time you graduate with a bachelor's in chemistry, bachelor's in biology, your options are very limited. Teaching, or do an advanced degree into biotech. Biotech is a really good field, you know, but that's what I mean by that. So you have if you're going to do what's called like a primary study, you know, like a basic math, chemistry, history, et cetera, the subjects that you learn in high school, just be very, very confident that you're doing the next thing afterwards. Or you're very confident that you want to be a teacher, or you want to do the professions that require it, you know, there. Okay. Yes?
Do you think that being an engineer is a good thing for the future?
I think it's a huge, great thing. Okay? So there are certain professions that are extremely in short supply. Engineering is one of them. The way America is built by engineers. I mean, every road, everything we have, the way America survived historically is immigrant. Okay? People who come from outside, they needed engineers, so they brought them from India, China, you know, everywhere else in the world, but it's mostly those two countries. You know, that's they managed. The homegrown engineer is in extreme shortage. Yeah. So people who are engineers, I mean, you know, so let me ask a question. Okay, what is the starting salary for a typical high school teacher, middle school teacher? Anybody know?
45.
Sorry?
45.
Nope, higher. Sorry? 35? Yeah, it's close. It depends on the school district, etc. Somewhere between 40 to 45,000 would be 40 to 45,000 would be the degree. Many of them do master's degree, and then they start working at the high school or middle school, etc. 40 to 45,000. You know, I have 4 or 5 years ago, I made offers to people out of Bradley for $70,000 for an undergraduate degree. Today, we'd be paying 80 plus, 2x. You don't do it for the money, you do it for the fun. If you like it, you must like it. Otherwise, the money's not going to be there. You know, it's not going to matter. But certain degrees to your original question. Engineers, we're going to have severe shortages in the year to come. And unless they keep the doors open, you know, if you get some Republicans in Congress, immigration will stop, you'll be a severe shortage. So you guys will make more than doctors in the future. Yes?
First of all, I want to thank you
Oh,
because this is a fruitful lecture.
Inshallah.
I am a computer engineering.
Very good.
I bring my daughters with me. Till now, they are not considering to study engineering.
Yeah,
And I give them their freedom
of
to
course.
choose
Yeah,
whatever they want.
yeah,
But you stress in money aspect. One of them is the time.
yeah,
Because for me, it's a crucial
yeah,
thing in
yeah,
life.
yeah,
You need to spend it very well.
yeah,
And I also said to them that everyone, our Allah gave us something special
yeah,
and some skills,
yeah,
and we need to use these skills
yeah,
very well.
yeah.
So I thank you so much for this.
Inshallah. You know, there's some basic things, you know, if you think about it, if you want to be a mechanical, there are things that I will say you should think more about. If you get the IKEA furniture set, you know, like you buy a box from IKEA, if you're the kind of person who will help mom and dad and build it, think about mechanical engineering. A lot of what you do is that sort of thought process of how you make something put together, you know, there. Yeah,
I want advice from you because we are a new immigrant.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
No, no worries.
I already I have a master degree in computer engineering.
Yeah.
I have some problem in what type of job I can do here in
Yeah.
theory. Because when I read every job description,
Yes,
there's I came already from Middle East, from Jordan.
yes, yes,
And what we learn is different from the industrial field
yes,
in
yes,
USA.
yeah,
When I read every job
yes,
description,
yes,
there is a lot of skills.
yes,
I will go there,
yes,
or there, or
yeah,
there. What skill I need to learn in a short time so I can start
yes,
my job?
yes,
Also, I don't have any experience.
yes,
So for me, it is really something frustrating.
yes,
But I try to do my best. This is
yeah,
the problem that I have.
yes,
What should I focus on? What job? What? So I need, because you have
yeah,
a lot of experience, or maybe you have faced some engineers, especially
yeah, yeah.
junior, facing something like that. I need advice.
So it's hard to give because it's a kind of a general question. There's a few advice to give. First off is what's in the job description, most of it ignore. I mean, as I said, I've hired hundreds of people. I write job descriptions, or actually now I have people who write descriptions. There's really only 3 or 4 sentences I care about. Okay? Typically, the hard part is from outside applying into a company. Okay? That is very difficult because you have to sell yourself in it. There's a few key things that they are looking for. Typically, a hiring manager is looking for a few basic skills. The rest they want to know is, are you reliable? Are you hardworking? Are you organized? Are you good with team members? Do you collaborate, communicate? That's what you do. That's what they care about, the soft skills. And then some basic technical skills. So when you look at job descriptions, I'd ignore the majority of it, the basic focus on it, you know, the basic core, I'd stick to it. If you've got that, apply. The second is persistence. Okay, I had that earlier. So I've been at CAT, as I said, 28 years. What I didn't mention is some of those jobs, you know, they're completely different. In the middle, there was one job where I was the test job. I did that for 4 or 5 years. After about 4 years, I was bored of it. I wanted to do something different. I applied to 41 jobs at Caterpillar. 41. And then I got the next job. Okay? And it was partly because, I mean, why that difficult was because I'm alhamdulillah at a senior level, and it's hard to get another job. And the people who knew me, just because of the timing, there was a big wave of retirement. So everybody who knew me, who was kind of my sponsor, would say, yeah, Asif's a good guy, I can trust him. They were all gone. So it took me 41 attempts to reconnect. Okay? After that, the next job, it's just because that my old boss moved to another job and he said, he pulled me, because I had the connection. So I would say, be confident in yourself, focus on the core of the job, and be very, very persistent. And the last thing I would say is that every interview that you do that you don't get selected in, reflect, be open of the criticism. What did I not get? You know, because if you don't change, you'll just repeat, and you'll be frustrated. You're frustrated. Alhamdulillah, in my role, I meet about once a week with a member of our community, at least some member in the community I've met once a week that I'm meeting that asks me for career advice, just because I'm an old guy. That's why. I've been around a long time, I'm an old guy, so they ask me for advice. And I will say I have been giving advice to, right now, about 20 people that I mentor on a quarterly basis. I meet them once a quarter, usually the Starbucks coffee shop here. And there's people I know after the second, third session, I want to tell them, I want to skip the meeting with them because they keep telling me how great they are, and I tell them, here's why you're not getting the job you want. You're here, you're applying for this job, and you're complaining, that guy's a racist, not giving me the job. No, because you're an idiot. You can't get that job. You don't have the skill sets, you don't have the communication, you don't have that. They don't listen. They don't self-reflect. You need to do a bit of that, too. Yeah, sorry.
If you don't want to be an engineer, is it a good thing to learn something basic about coding or programming or AI?
Yes. Okay. Everybody should know basics of coding. Okay. What you learn in coding is not the language. You learn how to think like a computer. Okay. Pretty much everything you do, this huge program management of $430 million program, it comes down to, okay, what was most important? What decision led to the next decision, which led to the next decision? And if you're writing code, that's basically an if-else statement. If this, else this, if this, that. So the very basics, if you picked any language, and I don't even know what language is now considered the basic, but C used to be the most simple one, or C++, or Java. I don't know if it's still around anymore. Python, yeah, Python. So, Python is very easy. There was like two Thanksgivings ago, our Thanksgiving plans were canceled because of stupid COVID. So I bought a book, I read it, I wrote code, it was fun, I returned the book, But Python is very simple. It's how to read in a file, how to set up tables, how to do basic logic, and do the hello world is the standard thing for Python. Then try to use it for something, homework or etc. It doesn't matter what profession. If you're a doctor, knowing how to code is good. Okay. So, yes. Other questions?
What about, you said that you should start looking at sophomore and junior, right?
Yeah.
Senior year, you're still applying, right?
You're still applying. It's never too late, Yeah.
So if we have not started yet, looking at colleges and those things,
Yeah.
you should be on the go right now, right?
Yeah, I would suggest it's typically, it's kind of in my mind, again, it's the coding part of it, right? You think of it in steps. Step one is, what are possible areas of study? Possible. Things of interest to you. If you hate painting, going into art is probably not a good thing, if you hate math, do not become a computer engineer. You cannot, okay? But you identify a few areas of interest. From that, you identify a few majors of interest. And then once you do that, then colleges is kind of the after fact. It's really an intersection of majors that are good. So I went to Iowa State. If you were an engineer and you were looking at that area, I would say Iowa State is a good choice. But if you were a business major or a pre-med, University of Iowa is much better than Iowa State. Okay? So once you've chosen your areas of interest, your majors, you then kind of down select based on universities that are known to be good. And then, of course, it's a combination of, can you afford it, right? And can you get into it? Okay? Harvard is good at everything. I wouldn't go there.
If somebody hates math, then how can he be like a good engineer? Like, even mechanical engineering, production, it do require somewhat bit of math. Right?
Yeah, it's, yeah.
Not that high level. So you said only computer engineering is that?
No. What I meant by that is that if there's subjects that you really despise, don't focus on those majors that depend on it. Math is very critical to being an engineer. Physics is important to being an engineer, for mechanical in particular. Actually, even for electrical and everything else, chemical. If you want to be one of those engineers, those are areas that you need to be interested in. Now, what I would encourage is test yourself. There's people who say I know, like my son's friends, so when he was in middle school, every single person in his group wanted to be a doctor because most of their dads are doctors and they drive nice cars. Okay, simple and easy. They all want to be doctors. Half of them are now, alhamdulillah, in med school. Half of them are not. Okay? And the reason, I mean, what I encourage them to do is, on freshman year, if you want to be a doctor, Dunlap High School, there's this teacher, Ms. Lashow. She teaches a bio's honor course. If you want to be a doctor, take that course. If you don't like it, you should rethink. Maybe pharmacy or something else, because you should test yourself. Do you really want it or not? I mean, you can try journalism. The beauty here in the American system is there's so many options. You can try them all out and see. And then if you like it, you don't even have to be great at it. You just have to like it and be good enough. Most engineers, do you remember your calculus now anymore? Yeah. Nobody does.
Actually, I do it on the go. Like
Yeah.
whatever I have learned
Yeah.
so far,
Yeah.
if it is required in my job,
You'll
I
figure
will
it out.
go ahead and
Yeah.
revisit it and
Yeah.
learn it.
Yeah.
Maths is not
No.
you don't have to apply each
No.
and everything, right?
I mean, the current job I'm in, I'm supposed to be a negotiation expert. I'm supposed to be a supply chain logistics expert, because I have teams who do this work. The first 3 hours in the job, I still remember, everybody spoke to me, telling me this, Asif, you do this, and we have this crisis. I had no idea what the hell they were talking about, So, I took a break. Alhamdulillah, in Caterpillar, we have our own prayers. I went for Zohar. I did a long Zohar by myself. I said, okay, now I come back. What is the problem I have to solve today? Focus on that. Then what can I wait till tomorrow? I'll solve that next. So you manage, you learn. That's all. Anything else? I think we've gone quite a while.
The parents in the audience, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This initiative itself is the first big step, and inshallah, your kids will go far, and inshallah, they'll choose a career that's beneficial to them. And we ask Allah Azza to make this a beneficial step
Inshallah.
for you and put barakah in your future endeavors. And we thank Brother Asif for giving his valuable time
No,
and all the efforts that he does for the benefit of our community.
inshallah.
Inshallah, we'll have another session during the school year, so we have a wider audience to benefit. Jazakumullah khairan.
Sorry. Thank you.